Hey guys, what's going on? It's your favorite motorsport manager with the F1 Mod Challenge, coming at you live with round number 14 because we have technically been demoted from the McLaren Honda team. We could not hit our target of 3rd or above in the last race, and therefore we got the bit of a shunt because that was our ultimatum. Actually officially been signed up the racing engineer, and that was your guys' number one preference. Sign up with the team in GP2 that was the highest ranked, which is racing engineering. It was the job that I could take. And that's what I'm going to do. So please give this series a thumbs up because we're going to keep continuing to see what this season unveils for the next, for at least the end, because we are going to be in GP2. Can we improve this team's position? I'm automatically going to go straight and accept this job offer. At least the uniform suits me a little bit more. It's yellow. The next race is in Montreal. And our team is, we've got the second best car on the grid. First best for gearbox, second best for brakes, fourth best for low speed corners, which is your front wing. Second best for medium speed, which is suspension. Third best for your rear wing. So we actually have a really good team. Surprisingly though, if you look at the standings of this team, they're not that great. They're third. They've only got one race win, and their drivers are coming 3rd and 16th in the championship. Jay King has only scored 2 points, while Nato has only scored 28 with a really competitive car, and that's a bit of a surprise. And that is Matsushita with Art GP and Mana Racing, Ocon, and Wehrlein should be in there at 5th of Mana Racing as well. Now, technically, if we're 66 points behind, and we only have 2 races to go, and the maximum points you can get for a round is 20, because it's the old championship where you get 10, 6, 4, 2, 1. But you also get 2 points for pole position, and 2 points for the fastest lap of the race, which may or may not be achievable. We'll have to wait and see what the car, how the drivers stack as well. But the maximum points we can get is 20. And in the standings, 66 behind. So we get 20 points, which will get us up into 2nd, provided Manon doesn't score. And then the final race is double points in this championship, which will mean the maximum points is 40 points, provided that I don't think that the bonus points stack, so it'd be like, I don't know, 34 points. It wouldn't be enough in order to win this championship, but you know what, let's just see how competitive these guys are. The drivers, how do the drivers rank with everyone else? Now, we can't compare the rest of the field because they haven't scouted everyone in this championship. Not a big surprise. But as you can see, Jordan King is 2nd compared to Sergio Sirotkin, as far as we know, and they're not great. They're below 3 stars, so it's a little bit less than what we want. We have Nato, who's crash happy. He hates team orders, and he's a first lap hero. What about Nato? Not Nato. We want Jordan King. He's rock solid, +2 focus, so he doesn't really crash. He's a first lap panic. He's like the opposite of Nato. He's first lap panic versus first lap hero, but he also hates team orders. So these guys are just the inverse. That guy's crash happy, that guy's rock solid, that guy's first lap hero, that guy's first lap 0. And what about the reserve driver? He's not that far behind them, to be honest. He's actually right up there. He's just a nice guy. Mechanic relationship, teammate morale, chairman happiness. Does he offer anything in regards to the other guys? Not so much. But you know what? We can actually make this happen. I'm going to get scouting straight away in the unemployment line because I want to see if there's a better driver we can pick up. There's no point approaching the guys that are ahead of us. Look at that. There's no one there. That guy's like 3 stars and everyone else is dumpsters. That's because they must have one of the lowest scouting tiers available. So let's just start scouting drivers. DaCosta will scout him. Is there anyone else we can recognize their name? Not really. Robert Kubica? Really? Robert Kubica's in this game? Let's get him scouted straight away. He might be a bit of a top dollar dog for us, we don't know. And that's really about it. I think to get past Maldonado, we definitely have to go and look for him. We'd have to go and look for him by upgrading our headquarters, which is actually... It's good for this championship, but it's actually really poor. Like level 2, level 1 test track. Upgrade facilities. I don't really want to upgrade anything. We've only got $1 million. It's not a lot of money, considering we're going to have to upgrade the car shortly. And I don't want to build any more components just yet. I'd much rather wait and see how all the car components are going. Look, they've got nothing to fix. That's unbelievable. Let's just go and see how this race will go. What's the target? Let's just say first. First is impossible. Third, we won't get as much money. Let's just go first. Finances set, budget low, because we'll get the money anyway. It's just we get it straight away rather than waiting at the end of the season. Sponsor appeal, level 1. What? At least the car looks good. That means we're not going to get a lot of cash from sponsorship offers, and that's going to be really dependent on drivers. So at least for the next year, we'd have to really pick up some guys who have got some really good traits for markability. Markability, 1%. Markability, 22%. 19%. The hell are we doing here? That's terrible. That's terrible. But it's a shame. You should be able to, when you get kicked out of a team, I reckon you should be able to hold on to the drivers you've already scouted. You know what I mean? Because you keep the knowledge with you. Pit stop training. Yeah, nah, let's not do any pit stop training. I just want to see how this all goes. I'd be really interested to see how the do I want to answer any interviews? I don't really want to answer any interviews at this stage. I really want to see the race results though. Can Alonso and Button improve without me being there? That is the question. And to answer your question, Alonso comes 8th, so he's fallen back. Kvyat drove into 6th position, that's surprisingly. Perez is 4th. Gonna do it at that stage, and he's just gonna start his lap. There's a few cars around him. Actually, there's a few cars in front of him, so that window might not have been the best time to send him out. In fact, we might get him to come straight in and not finish this lap, depending upon how much slowed down he is by the other guys around him. If we just watch him as he's coming around everyone else, he's definitely going to be slowed down. So what we might do is we might actually bring him straight in and push him straight out, because he will have enough time to go out and around. But if we let him complete his lap, he's going to be stuck out there. So Nato comes in, King starts to slow down. We might just be able to get his tyre temp in and nothing else. Brake temp might be able to get down in that window just, hopefully. I'm not sure at this stage. Maybe, baby. And look at that. Speed up. Good temps for both the brakes and tyres, much like when we did Nato. Nato we're going to pull in. That way he can go out and do a lap before it starts to drizzle. So this is all going to depend upon how much time we've got around to get him out there. So super soft tyres, ultra soft tyres I should say. Send him straight out. No changes in regards to setup. We should have actually had a bit of a look to see if he was, adjusted mechanically into the 100% window, but that probably wasn't the case. Wehrlein is the fastest at the second sector in the GP2. What's that weather going to do? I think Nato might just be able to get his lap done. We might not slow him down. It looks like King's only 0.3 seconds down at the moment, so that's actually a really good job for him. He goes around this much slower car, and it looks like there's a lot of people out in the track at the moment, which is quite scary for Nato to do his lap. So instead of slowing him down, I might just get him to speed up and keep going around and not worry about getting that minigame correct and getting him in that window. It's more important that we get him out there while the track is still at its optimum temperature. King goes 4th. Great result for him. Terrific result for him, actually. That moves him definitely into the top 10. And will we get around in time before this weather kicks off? I hope so. I think Nato might be able to just get his lap done. He's getting slowed down by this other car who seems to be on their in-lap. But Nato's now into 20th. Surely he'll be able to improve. And we might have just got him out at the right time. Track grip is at its peak. The rain has not commenced just yet. It's going to start at about the 9-minute mark. He shouldn't be caught out. He's 0.296 down at the moment, which is going to put him into the top 5 at least at this rate, which is great for us. If he just keeps his speed up before the rain kicks in, and it's slowly starting to drizzle now, I don't think that's going to affect his times that much. In fact, he just did a personal best sector 2 there. It's the first time he's done that. He's now at 0.7. Hopefully he can complete this lap before it absolutely hails down on him. And that would be dramatic for him not to be able to do that. He goes 4th fastest despite the drizzle. So I think he would have been able to definitely have gotten into the top 3. Maybe even 2nd position had he not have been caught out by that rain. And it looks like it's going to rain the remainder of this session, so there's no point for us to do any more laps. Great result by us. Knowledge traits plus 10% performance for race trim, ultra soft tires plus 15. It is going to start to rain by the second or third, fourth lap. Now, here's an interesting thing. Looks like most people are going to start off on the ultra soft tires, and I'm really happy to do that. In fact, I'm going to send both cars out in a very aggressive attacking mode. And you know what's the best thing about this particular championship? Refueling is available for cars, which wasn't in the last series. So what we're going to do is we're going to send both cars out with about 5 laps of fuel. That way we can get them into overtake mode straight from the get-go. We do plan to pit about lap 3, 4, 5. And depending if that's, you know, any adjustments to the actual weather. But as you can see, with the less fuel, with only 5 laps of fuel, they are 0.163 seconds a lap faster without that much. And that's why I love having a championship with refueling. That's something for me to pick up every time that we go on the pits now, because we haven't done that in so long. But we're going to get them to go both into complete aggressive mode from the get-go. Both setups are great. I'm really happy with that. Driving strategy is going to be push, push, push straight from the get-go. No dramas. What is our race order? Pole position is Wehrlein. Matsushita second. Third for Mana Racing is Ocon, Nato, Sirotkin, King, Gasly, Giovinazzi, Mercolo, Mercelet, Lin. I'm absolutely murdering half of these European names, aren't they? Evans, Mitch Evans is all the way into 14th. And who's rounding off the back of the group? Campos Racing at MP Motorsport, Daniel De Jong. He doesn't actually look Japanese, but you know, I guess white's the new brown. Or yellow, or whatever you want to say. But here we go, straight off the line. NATO, can we get off to a good start? I hope so. We're up against Mana Racing, and we absolutely dive bomb. NATO goes straight into second position. Looks like it was an absolute terrible start for Wehrlein, who then held up his teammate Ocon, and now they're fighting for third and fourth position. So we're in a very good starting window. King is in 7th position, so he's gotten off the line. Maybe he was pushed back a little bit in that little reshuffle at the start of the race, but it's been a great start for us, and we're happy to push straight off the line in a very aggressive setup, very aggressive strategy, overtake mode for the engine, driving style is attack. Remember, park conditions is 100% for everything because it's been maintenance to the goal, and King goes around the outside. Who was that? Giovinazzi. He goes around the outside. Giovinazzi, he is on the move, and that's a great move by him thus far. King, has he lost Mashimutu off the start? He's only 1 point, he's less than 1 second. He's actually catching him now. He's just on the fastest lap of the race, which is the first lap of the race, so you can't really, make that a marking just yet. But he's up now, he's competing against Wehrlein. Wehrlein seems to have absolutely done a disastrous start in the opening lap. And now he's struggling to really get the power down as King now moves up into 5th position. He's now contending for 4th. He goes up into 4th position. So this is very different for us. We're not used to having both cars up into the top 5. So it's really important that we actually watch both and that we actually watch the weather. The other thing that I want to check is, what do these tyres do in terms of estimate water on the track? Yeah, we're going to have to watch when we want to pit. Matsumiti, I'm just calling Matsu because I'm just going to keep mixing up his name, but he's currently in 1st position. NATO is on the absolute attack. He's all over him. 3rd place, Ocon's been able to catch up, and we are now so close to getting into the lead. We've gotten in the lead. NATO has just made the pass to 1st position. He's closed down the door. King is also on a charge. Everyone else is going back into conservative mode. Maybe they know something that we don't. We might just want to go back into medium mode for our fuel load and hope that it doesn't rain too hard to begin with. We're only going to be able to get 1 more lap out of these tanks of fuel anyway. The fuel usage here is absolutely through the wall. That was really insane. The tire temperatures are still just below peak, but the main thing is now we just want to get around on medium to make sure we've got enough laps of fuel to get all the way around. And it's going to start to rain. It's starting to rain now, so that's perfect. 5 laps of fuel in order to do 3 laps was the perfect estimate. And now it's all about getting around to the pit lane. We've got 1st and 3rd position, so we're in the podium. There's a little bit of a gap back all the way down the field, and it looks like it's just going to be intermediate tyres. The track isn't that damp just yet, but I think it's damp enough in order to come through. Remember, different championships use different treads of tyres, and I think we want to run at least, how many laps of fuel? At least 14 laps of fuel, so we're going to put quite a bit in the tank. How much can we go to? We can go to about 14. Let's go to 15. If we want to push any stage, we can. So that's happy to do that. Balance stop. And how big's the gap between both drivers? It's about 4 seconds, 5 seconds. So we might have to double stack. It is going to be 17-second stop. Wow, that is absolutely amazing. We can't get either of them to go around one more time, I think, because they lose that amount of time if they were to go on dry tyres on that compound. So what we're going to do is, we might get him to do a fast pit stop. Let's just go balance. I got a bad feeling every time we do a fast stop, we ended up getting screwed over. So we're going to roll around on that strategy. Same with you. 14.02, which will roll up to 15 laps. Let's do that. Let's try to get these guys both off the same window. We had to do it at the start of the race because that's, you know, that's when they both worked. But yeah, so far so good. They're just going to get into the pit lane with enough fuel. Yes, they do. Fantastic stuff. Get them go back into low mode, into conserve mode as well. And here we go. Here's NATO's stop. Is everyone else going to pit? No, not everyone else is going to pit. In fact, no one else but us is going to pit. Is that because the groove tyres don't work as well in these conditions? That's going to be a bit of an eye-opener for us. If that's the case, I think we should be able to make some moves in the field while pushing. I don't know. But King is going to stop. He's been held up. We've had to double stack. Everyone else has come in. Most of the other cars have come in. I'm interested to see how fast these guys are. What's their race pace with these conditions? Have they gone much slower? Matthew was 0.2 seconds slower than his last lap, so maybe not. Maybe it's a bit of a double whammy there. Let's get engine modes to overtake now because they're going to have enough fuel in order to get to that lap 14 level. But are we catching everyone else around us? That's the question. Was it worth bringing both cars in? Possibly not, but I imagine everyone else is going to double stack now. Let's have a bit of an eye on that. Remember, we had to fill up our tanks to the brim, where most people might have had 10 laps of fuel and only pushed them an extra 4 or 5 laps, depending upon that stop. But where is NATO going to come out? He's actually going to come out in second. So we've lost out to the leaders by pitting that extra lap earlier, but that's okay. We're fighting Ocon at the moment. King is back into 6th position. He was 3rd when he came in, so 7th. So we are at 3rd and 7th at the moment. This is workable. I'm happy with that. That's not too bad. We learned a bit of a lesson. These tyres, the drier compounds probably have a little bit more of a groove, and they could have, you know, gone out when it was still a little bit, you know, damp on the track. Not necessarily wet to the brim, but damp enough. But strategy-wise, we want to try to push on to Ocon and force an error and whiz our way through. And same with King. He's actually getting held up by Gasly at the moment. There's going to be a lot of big times between the fields because a lot of teams would have had to have double stacked. I imagine the second half of everyone else would have double stacked. The amazing thing is, King is still in 7th position despite double stacking. Now, had we have thought about that a little bit more, we could have got him to go one more extra lap. Lost a little bit of time in those dry conditions, but possibly come out in 2nd and 3rd competing with his teammate, NATO. But King, not able to make the pass stick just yet. And what lap are we looking at? We're looking at about lap 17. Plenty of laps to go, about 10 more to go. So let's get these guys back into neutral mode. Remember, these guys will not take team orders. So once they're competing with each other, that's that. They're at each other's throats. NATO can keep pushing into overtake mode because he does have excess fuel. So does King. So we're going to get it to about lap 17, so 10 more laps. So when they get down a little bit more, that's when we'll start to push off a little bit. But how's everyone else's strategy? Matthew was pushing off those tyres straight away. Remember, he did one less lap than us. But we need to get at least 1 to 2 more laps out of these tyres. Looks like Werloin's car has just blown up. So he's out of this race. That's good news for us. He's not technically out of it. He can get back to the pits. He'll have to pit and then possibly do another pit stop in order to change tyres or try to contend with drier tyres on these conditions. But how are we going for fuel though? We can possibly burn a little bit more fuel up at this rate, put them in high mode, try to get them up as much as we possibly can, get it into medium. How much further can we possibly go? One more lap will do the trick for us in order to get around. Where does that point Werloin in all this? He's gone backwards so far. So we're still in 6th. King was not able to get past Gasly. That was really annoying because he was fighting for so long. In fact, he still is. Esteban Ocon takes lead. Mashu is now fighting for that position. But we have absolutely chewed up these tyres, and I'm hoping by the end of this lap, we'd be able to go straight onto the other compound. So we're going to push. We're going to push, but not chew up the tyres just yet. There's no point. Here comes the guys with the other condition of tyres. Now, what do we want to do? We've got 13 laps to go, and if we put the super softs on, they're going to struggle. They're going to absolutely struggle. The other thing is, we only have one set of softs, of ultra softs to go. I think we go to the ultra softs and then we go to the super softs. You know what? Actually, we go to the super softs, and if they don't last as long, we're going to have to go to the ultra softs. That's what we're going to do. That would work in our favor. So let's try to go the full race, the full Monty. Which means if we fill up with 12, if it's going to be lap 19, so if we fill up with 12.36, we'll be rounding up to 13. That's going to work for us. And we're going to pit with soft tyres. It's not going to get any wetter at this stage. So in he comes. As that's going to be the same with King, so we're going to go to soft tyres. He's got better cornering and whatnot, so he gets an extra lap. So that should be enough for him in order to finish. Let's get his pit strategy down to the same. So we want to go exactly to 13 laps of fuel. Yes, we do. Pit strategy balanced. We want to get the exact amount right. And he's going to be pitting behind. Who's that? Siricon is on the... Ooh. So, Siricon has pitted earlier, and he actually went out on the ultra soft tyres. And in all that, King's been able to pass Gasly, and he also passed Siricon. So in all of that, King's been the ultimate winner right there. He's going to come into the pits. Where's our other cars going now? He should be able to pit. Let's go back into medium mode. Let's just make sure King gets all the way around to the pit lane. Let's go back into conserve mode. I don't know, I'm a little bit worried that you might not be able to get all the way around, but you should be able to. And how's this stop going for you so far, Mr. NATO? Let's have a look. It's going to be, refueling has been good, tyres coming on, good. 15 seconds stop. King starts rolling in the pits, so they're not going to double stack at this stage. That's good news for us. And he's going to go straight out. We have excess fuel apparently now. That's okay. It's a little bit damp on the track, but given one more lap, we should be fine to roll out on these tyres. And everyone else still out in the intermediates are absolutely going to struggle. Hopefully King comes out ahead of whoever the hell that is, Giovinazzi. And we want to be able to get away from him. So let's go into overtake mode, straight into overtake mode. Push away a little bit, push enough until the fuel goes down. But that was great work from us. I feel like that really worked in our favour. But now's the time NATO has to go back into medium mode. There's no longer excess fuel on board that car. King is now pushed out ahead. So Wehrlein definitely has to pit very shortly. He's still smoking. While he got mechanically fixed, the car just isn't operating the same way. And that's going to really be beneficial to us. NATO at this stage looks like he's going to finish third. Mashu is going to finish second. And Ocon's going to finish first at this rate, unless something happens. So that's something important for us to know. In the World Championship, we needed to have intermediate tyres as soon as it got a little bit wet. In this championship, they're groove tyres for slicks. So that means we don't have to pit as soon as it's just a little bit wet. We can probably last one more lap. And that was the difference between coming out and still leading this race and having both cars on the podium to now having them both, I guess, into the top 5. But yeah, right now we just want to make sure that we get around on these tyres. We're fine if Ocon wants to push. Good for him. He's at 85% and he's absolutely attacking at the moment. If he blows up his tyres, that's going to be good news for us. We're only 10 seconds down the road. There's nothing to really gain or lose at this moment, so there's no point pushing either car. So this is just going to finish up with this race. A 3rd and 5th position would be absolutely amazing. The other thing to note is, will we get the fastest lap of the race? Data center, how are we looking for the fastest lap of the race? Live timings, we do have the fastest lap. That was NATO, he did it at the start of the race. Hopefully he can stay at that level. By the time it dries up, I expect people to go a little bit faster. But you got to remember, we were able to set that time because we were on low fuel, pushing, well, ultra soft tyres straight from the get-go. So I don't suspect many people will be able to tackle that. That's going to be 2 extra bonus points for us. And it might be enough. Wehrlein is still into 6th position. He has pitted, and he's absolutely pushing that... what car is he running again? I've got to get Manor. He's pushing that Manor car. Is he catching... He is catching King. Convincingly? No. Put them into high mode, let them do their thing, sit around, we'll balance out that excess fuel as soon as it gets below, then we'll push a little bit more. How's the park conditions? The cars are looking fine. Let's just push a little bit more at this rate. Both cars need exactly 9 laps of fuel. King now almost on that 9 laps of fuel mark. It's really important when we squeeze as much fuel out as fast as possible. The less fuel they have on board, the faster they're going to go. And it'd be really important to finish in front of Werlein here, just to state a bit of a mission, a bit of a de facto. But I imagine his tyres are going to be absolutely screwy. He's pushing. He's absolutely pushing us. Let's have a look at these times. Fastest time, last lap, Ocon did a 140, a 138, Nato did a 137, a 136 for Siricon, King did a 137, a 135 from Werlein. So guess what? We're now pushing as much as we possibly can. Siricon definitely has to pit. He's 23 seconds ahead. Will that be enough time in order for us to get ahead of him? Possibly. Will we be able to push away from Werlein a little bit? Werlein is now going into conserve mode with those tyres. I don't understand that. That's absolutely insane to the membrane. But maybe we can push away from him and then look to hold back. Because we don't want to get caught up with Werlein. We'd rather wait. How is Siricon going? Hopefully he stuffs up in the pits. We're going to come out. This is going to be a battle for 4th position if we can just get on the back bumper of him again. He's on ultra soft tyres. I expect him to be able to push away from us. But at this rate, NATO won't have enough fuel to finish. And as for King, we need to get back into conserve mode right now. Siricon immediately goes into conserve mode on his engine, I guess because he doesn't have much to gain. But this is just going to be a balancing act and watching Werlein in terms of what he's doing. He still has more meat on his tyres, but he's pushing. How much meat have we used and how many laps have we done? Both of our 2 cars. We pitted on lap 18. We've done 6 laps. We have how many laps to go? 6 laps, 8 laps. That should be just enough to get through. In fact, we might actually start to push King a little bit so he's able to push that gap out. Put him into high mode as well. Looks like he's under attack. Werlein could not do anything about it. Werlein's able to make the pass stick. Bit of a catastrophe, but NATO's actually catching up to Matsu. He's got the gap under 6 seconds. Matsu's tyres, 50%. Ocon's tyres, 50%. So everyone looks to be on this very similar strategy. And with King being passed and not able to put a lot of pressure onto the guy ahead of him, let's just let them push away a little bit more. Once they come around for the next lap, we'll do a bit of a calibration of their tyres, and are we able to push any more? I don't think so. With 50% tyre tread, I don't think it's going to be worth it. We could possibly push NATO because there's no threat from him from behind, so we'll try to see what we can do there with his position. King, get him to go into push mode a little bit. His gap back to Gasly is 10 seconds. And if he wasn't held up by Gasly in the first place, he possibly could have been in front of Cyril at this stage, but that's what happens. Get him to push. He's got nothing to lose at the moment by pushing at 45%. 3 laps to go. So very simple race and how it broke down. Just the pitting with the weather would have changed that just a little bit. Not by much, just something to note for next time. Let's check as NATO comes across the line. Will he have enough fuel? He's at 2.9 and he'll have 3 laps to go. So the fuel should be able to catch back up by the time he comes around. That's fine as well. King's tyres are now starting to look a little bit funny at 36%, but we'll keep him pushing, see if he can make the most of it. As for NATO's tyres, 20%, he'll definitely have to stop pushing now. He did get the gap down under 5 seconds, so he caught up by 1 second. But he wasn't able to make anything of it, and we'll put him down into that mode. Yeah, let's just let him keep going around. Excess fuel for King, so we'll get him to go into high mode. Neutral mode for the tyres. They'll have 2 laps to go at this stage of the race. And now everyone's just round and round they go, just competing their times. So what do you guys think down below? I think this race has been a lot more interesting because we have competitive cars in regards to the cars ahead of us. Strategy-wise, I think there's going to be a lot more strategy with the fuel load coming in here. NATO might not be able to finish on that fuel, so let's get him to go into conserve mode. He's 15 seconds ahead of the guy behind him, not a problem. We'll do the same for King, get him to go into conserve mode. Werloin's been able to push out ahead enough in order to push away from us. He has another mechanical issue. He's still smoking from the last one, and unless the car blows up now, we're not going to be able to pass him. Ocon wins the race. Matthew comes second. NATO comes third, so that's a podium result for us. I'm actually waiting for him. He goes, that's okay, I guess. A little bit unsatisfied. He would have liked to have got a better result, but that's actually really good. I'm really happy with that. Any illegal components? Werloin does though. There you go, guys. What did he have? He had demoted 2 places after breaking the FIA rules. We get the fastest lap bonus, 2 extra points, so we get bumped to 6 points, tied with Matthew. We also get Jordan King for 2 points. So we're only 2 points shy of getting first, considering that the combined guys get 8 points. Ocon and Gasly, Werloin would have actually got 12 because I forgot Werloin actually got 2 bonus points for his pole position. But we're not that far off the money. We're not that far off the money. We've got to be happy with that. We're now only 8 points shy of coming second in the individual championship. And how many points are we now behind? We're now 14 points, 24 points behind Manor Racing. That's because Manor just pulled out a bit of a rabbit out of their hat in that last result. Remember, double the points for the next championship race, which means technically we could come second, but we need them to do a really bad job with positioning. But this has been a Spot the Aussie video, guys. I actually really enjoyed that, to be honest. Give me a comment down below what you thought. Did you like the series? Did you like the GP2 race? Be sure to hit that like button. Really appreciate the support of the series. And if you have any tips for me, please let me know down below, and I'll check you guys out really shortly.